Good morning to you all. Want to make this brief because I got to go to bed. I'm always saying I got to go to bed, but this is like the usually usually in the late morning prior to the afternoon is like the most convenient time for me to do a quick video on what's on my mind. Eventually, I hope to one day be doing this video commentary on a professional basis, and I'm working on that. And this is my chance for me to tell you that you need to do your part, and all it takes is hitting that little subscribe button to, you know, to raise my visibility. So that's just my little, chance to talk to y'all about that. But suffice to say, I want to talk about uh, news about Andrew Yang. I guess better late than never. Is I'm sure you understand. It was the holiday season, busy, busy, busy. Doing all kinds of things. And working later, and family. The whole Christmas, which wasn't this quite the normal Christmas, and I think that we're all going to agree on that. Hopefully, we'll have some kind of return to normality when it comes to Christmas next year, and COVID will be fading away as just an unpleasant time period in our society. Now, let's talk about Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang, who was the 2020 Democratic presidential primary candidate for president, of course, he is now planning to run for mayor of New York City to replace two-term mayor, two-term mayor Bill DeBlasio. And there will be other candidates. So expect a primary, but I think that Andrew Yang will probably be a very major player in this mayoral race coming up next year, 2021. I think it'll be very interesting, to say the least. And what I like about Andrew Yang during the 2020 campaign, he was not even close to the first choice. He certainly wasn't well, I would say maybe with the 20 candidates, he would have been in the top five. I mean, but the thing about Andrew Yang, one thing that he was for in the primaries, and everybody know what he's advocating, is actually being discussed as a mainstream conversation now, and it's something that's whose idea is now time to embrace. He talked about UBI, Universal Basic Income, and I like that. I like that idea. It makes so much sense in so many ways, and it will be an effective way to reduce the welfare rolls. You're going to always have to have welfare. You need to have welfare. Can't do away with it. But if everybody has kind of what do you call it, an entitlement universal basic income, you will probably have a whole lot less people on public assistance. And the thing about it is, as much as I believe in a national healthcare system, and I'm getting kind of off to the side, but I'm going to get back to Andrew Yang in a second. Thing about it is, if we can't have a universal healthcare system, I say UBI is probably the next best thing, because, let's say they went with his modest $1,000 a month payment. Individuals can pay. There's a lot of individuals, they pay several $100s a month on average for their private insurance if they're not covered by their employer. And and it will help with people's groceries. It'll help with rent, utilities, basics, things like that. Um, and so I kind of like the idea of the UBI, and he is to be commended for it. And with COVID, you know, doing what it was doing, and people being laid off and having their economic life in shambles, UBI is very, very much an attractive idea. So all the best to Andrew Yang for coming up with that idea. And I'm sorry that he was rigged along with Marianne Williamson, Bernie Sanders, and Tulsi Gabbard. They were all they were all rigged in the primary, um, and nobody can convince me otherwise. But suffice to say, I was also kind of disappointed when he dropped out and endorsed Biden over Sanders. Didn't need to do that. That kind of was disappointing. But I'm going to say that there's good and bad, and when I say bad, I don't mean that in a negative or contentious way or a hateful way or what have you. But from my ideological perspective, I see a lot of good in Andrew Yang. Or that's not okay. Positive and negative. Let's put it that way. Bad means it implies, it implies just implies just something that's you know not very complimentary, and I don't mean that. I mean, I don't, this is not out of disrespect, and I'm just trying to search for my words today. But there is positive and there's negative about, and I would say that the positive is he was an outsider. I have a soft spot for outsiders, people who buck the system, people who go against the grain, and he was that. And he offered, as I said, he offered UBI, and I went into why UBI is good, and I'm glad that he brought it up and made it kind of a mainstream idea. So that's basically the positive. The negative, I would have to say, is he was wishy-washy on Medicare for all. He said he was for Medicare for all, and I think he's a product of American exceptionalism, because other Democrats in the primaries seem to fall under the same trap when it came to the idea of Medicare for all. They'll be like, "Oh, I'm for Medicare for all," and then when it came down to it, they get all wishy-washy, with the exception, of course, of Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders understands what it means to have Medicare for all. It means eliminating the private health insurance from the system. And I just, to the others, it meant Obamacare with a generous public option, which is better than nothing. But I I think that right now with this COVID and all of that, we don't need no public option. We need to go Medicare for all, and if possible, go UK National Health Service instead of the modest Canadian Medicare for all system that the progressives are in favor of, which I'm for, but would prefer the UK National Health Service. Um, so, in one area where I'm mixed is his libertarianism. Again, a positive and a negative. He's an entrepreneur. He's a businessman. And I'm not saying this in a bad way. He is a capitalist. A practitioner of the free enterprise system, and so I can see why he leans toward a libertarian direction. Now, from my perspective, um, you know, I mean, I consider myself a libertarian of sorts, not an economic libertarian. I mean, I'm much more governmental activism. I favor actual nationalization of certain industries and certain services and things like that. If I had it my way, we would nationalize major industries to the level that Great Britain nationalized industries after World War II. Um, I would go that route. So libertarianism is kind of a mixed bag for me because I'm not an economic libertarian. I mean I may not favor a total command economy like we had in the Soviet Union, but I'm certainly not a follower of Ayn Rand either. And he has a libertarian streak in him. When it comes to the economics, but I also think he probably have a libertarian streak in him on the social issues, which if I'm a libertarian, that's probably where I am more libertarian leaning to when it comes to um, issues of right to privacy and what the government shouldn't be doing against American people. So in that regard, as I said, I mentioned the positive, I mentioned the negative, and I mentioned his where I think he is mixed, and that is on economic libertarianism, not so much because I don't know where he stands on regulations and things like that. But on social issues, usually people who have libertarian streak in them, they're going to be consistent and go in a positive direction on social issues. Um, should I wish him success? Well, it depends. Um, a deal breaker for me, and I live in North Carolina. In a way, I don't have a dog in this fight. I mean, I live what about 500 miles away from New York City. I'm no stranger to New York City. I go through there quite a bit. I hung out there a few times, and I genuinely like New York if I'm not getting lost. And last time I actually was in New York, where I had lunch with a friend of mine, I ended up. It took me 5 fucking hours to get out of the city. That was when I didn't have a GPS. Now that I got a GPS, it wouldn't be a problem. But anyway, enough about me. But should I wish him success? As I said, it depends. I would say he needs to be for Medicare for all. That will be the deal breaker for me. Um, in some ways, he's kind of a normie Democrat, but the UBI it makes him a very interesting person. It's a very edgy idea. It's an idea that social justice style progressives and even conservatives with a libertarian bent can kind of see eye to eye on because it's very humanitarian to give money to people, and it is our money when you think about it. From a conservative or libertarian perspective, that money, that UBI, is our money anyway. It's our money. So in that regard, uh, even if you're a conservative Republican, you should look at it that way. You're always talking about low taxes. Well, this is a way to get our money back. But more from a left wing perspective and a libertarian perspective is you kind of meet the two. As I said, it's a compassionate thing to do, which meets the criteria of the left, and it's a fiscally responsible thing to do in regard to the criteria of those who lean toward a economic libertarian perspective. So I would say right now, depending on who else is running, with regard to Andrew Yang, New York could have done a hell of a lot worse. I mean, I am mixed on Bill DeBlasio. I mean, in 2016, I'm more mad at him in 2016 for choosing Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders. What the hell were you thinking? But I became proud of Bill de Blasio when he dropped out and supported Bernie Sanders over Joe Biden. In that regard, he did better than Andrew Yang. Um, Again, I'm mixed on de Blasio. You know, He's one of those the Russians, the Russians, the Russians, and I'm like, dude, you need to get off of that kick. It's so, Hillary Clinton has poisoned a lot of Democrats' minds with that Russian bullshit. So, but as I said, it could New York could do a hell of a lot worse than Andrew Yang. I mean, he's not Rudy Giuliani, he's not Michael Bloomberg. Thank God, you know. And my God, even Ed Koch was terrible mayor in a lot of ways. So, but as I said, I'm mixed. But if Andrew Yang get on board, fully on board with Medicare for all. I know he's a mayor. I know he'll be running for mayor. He's not running for president, not running for the U.S. House or U.S. Senate, running for mayor of New York. But it's important that you have a major figure saying Medicare for all is good. So, and thing about it, when it comes to New York politics, I'm encouraged. Several members of Congress, so in New York State, supports Medicare for all. I believe Junior Senator Kristen Gillibrand supports Medicare for all, and so, and of course, we know Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I mentioned members of Congress. Um, I know that 10 years ago, Chuck Schumer was in favor of the public option, which was kind of forward thinking for the kind of Democrat that he is. So, and for what I've been hearing about Chuck Schumer, unlike Nancy Pelosi in the House, who remains a blue dog that pretends to be progressive and woke, but she's a blue dog. Chuck Schumer is seemingly moving further left. And word has it that he gets it, whereas Nancy Pelosi doesn't. And that is that he knows, or he has a strong suspicion that there's going to be a big power grab by the left, and he's feeling it right now. And the potential is that he could go further left, and he could become not Bernie Sanders, not the late Paul Wellstone, but maybe he could be almost as progressive as Kristen Gillibrand. Well, as I said, Andrew Yang as mayor, being for Medicare for all, there'll be one more figure that can make a case for Medicare for all when the discussion of healthcare reform comes again. Anyway, I ranted long enough, and I babbled this time because I'm kind of tired, and I am going to try to be alert when I do these videos from now on. But anyway, if you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you were really just not too happy about it, we can talk about it. If you like, if you want to leave a comment, go ahead and do that too. So either way, if you like it or don't like it, comment on it. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you that if you're passionate about something and you have a platform, utilize it. If you're passionate about something, you don't have a platform, develop that platform, utilize it, because we're the muckrakers of our time. Feel free to hit that subscribe button. And until next time, I am American Social Democracy. Peace, and Bernie Sanders for president, year 2024.